Why is Jimin crying alone in the studio in the middle of the night? Is it related to Jungkook, or is there a deeper and surprising reason? Click through, read through, and comment on what's really going on behind those tears. Is this about a broken heart? Is this about a goodbye you never got to say? Or could it be about a confession that never got off the lips, and now it's too late? A short video of less than 20 seconds has shocked the ARMY community around the world. In it is recorded vaguely but clearly. Park Jimin, alone in a HYB recording studio, sits hunched over in a corner of the room, covering his face with both hands, his shoulders heaving, obviously in tears. No sound, no music. Only the silence was heavy. But it is precisely in that silence that millions of questions arise. Why is Jimin crying? Why is he alone? And what made the fans' hearts beat faster the most? Why shortly after the video spread, the name Jungkook immediately went trending? Internal sources gave no official statement. Even HYB has not responded to anything about the recording. But fans with keen eyes and sensitive hearts began to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and the result stunned the entire fandom. The moment was recorded at 2:14 a.m., according to the timestamp data of the original file. The studio looks well lit. Only one chandelier is lit above the sound mixing table. No staff, no manager. Only Jimin, in a gray hoodie and black workout pants, sat down with an expression that, even in his silence, was able to cut anyone who watched him. A few seconds before he leaned over and cried, it was clear that he was holding a piece of paper. Apparently a letter or a hand note. One source from within the fandom claimed that it was a private letter from Jungkook written during their fight 2 months ago, a letter that was purportedly never given in person. However, how did the letter get into Jimin's hands today? And this is what makes it all even more complicated and emotional. Some ARMY swears that there is another figure in the room. In the reflection of the glass shadow of the studio control room, a faint silhouette of a person stood. Still, keep an eye. But when Jimin wiped his eyes and turned his head, the figure was already invisible. Suspicions began to lead to one named Jungkook. Why? Because the day before, she was seen leaving the same studio in a similar outfit with a mysterious figure in the reflection of the glass. More surprisingly, Jungkook's military schedule should not have allowed him to go out freely at night. But if it is true that he is present secretly, for what? 3 days before the incident, Jimin had a live broadcast on Weverse. In the broadcast, he looked exhausted but tried to smile. At the end of the broadcast, he said a sentence that has now gone viral. Sometimes we keep things for too long, until we don't know whether we keep them for love or for fear. Asterisk at that time, the fans considered it a poetic phrase. But now, after the crying incident, everything changed in meaning. What are his feelings for Jungkook? One thing is for sure, their relationship has long been a mystery. Their closeness in the early days of the debut made fans believe that they were inseparable. But in the last 2 years, began to appear cracks. Jungkook mentions Jimin's name less and less in interviews. Jimin also, although never directly insinuated, looked more reserved every time asked about his group mates. And that night, in a deserted studio, among the echoes of memories and silence, Jimin burst into tears. Are tears a sign of the end? Or rather, the beginning of something deeper? Something that has been hidden from the public. One big fanbase account posted that the letter Jimin read most likely contained Jungkook's apology for agreeing to a wedding plan arranged by his family. Even more extreme, there are those who say that Jungkook will marry soon after completing his military service, and the decision has been known to Jimin from someone close to Jungkook's family. But the most heartbreaking is the theory that Jimin's tears are not due to ordinary heartbreak. Because of betrayal. Because maybe he knows too much and can't share it with anyone. Asterisk, such a cry is not about rejected love. It was the cry of a man who knew that someone he was secretly guarding would leave him for good. And he can't do anything. Asterisk, this narrative was further reinforced when 2 days after the video went viral, Jimin deleted several old posts on his personal account related to memories with Jungkook. One of them is a black and white photo of them at a rehearsal in the studio in 2019. A photo that has always been considered a symbol of their eternal friendship. Then why didn't Jimin say anything? Why is HYB silent? Why didn't Jungkook, if he was in the room, come closer? The questions hang in the air, like studio lights that stay on, leaving a shadow of an unfinished feeling. ARMY is now not just a spectator, but part of the story. They feel lost, confused, and feel that something has been slowly taken away from the two people they once believed to be true friends. And in all that, one voice in the background of the virtual world began to strengthen asterisk. Maybe it's time for us to know the truth that has been hidden so far. Asterisk, if it's true Jungkook is getting married, why hasn't it been announced? If Jimin really cried because of that, why did he stay silent? And if it's true that all this is just an emotional coincidence, why does every detail feel like part of a huge puzzle that has been hidden from the public eye for so many years? The answer may never come officially. But that moment, a short video, a silent night, and shoulders quivering in silence has carved a collective wound in the hearts of fans. Now, it's not just about Jimin and Jungkook. It's about how reality in the idol world often hides pain behind a smile, and how one small moment can reveal an entire unseen world. If you have a theory, opinion, or just want to express your support, feel free to write it in the comments. Do you believe that Jimin and Jungkook were once more than just groupmates? Or are you sure that this is just one of those ordinary emotional moments that are simply exaggerated? Click like if you care about Jimin's happiness. Subscribe to keep up with any updates that might reveal more about the story hidden behind the studio's walls. And finally, ask yourself were Jimin's tears that night a cry for loss or a last request for someone to stay? 2 days after the recording of Jimin's crying in the studio went viral and rocked social media, a mysterious upload appeared on the Weverse account of a longtime HYBE trainee who has been inactive since 2023. The message was short, but it instantly set the K-pop world on fire. Jimin knew from the beginning, but he was told to be quiet. They were all told to be quiet, because the big name is more important than human feelings. No names mentioned, but all know who is meant, because only one name has been mentioned this past week: Jungkook. Even more jarring was the fact that some fans began to find the timeline fishy, a series of small events that had gone unnoticed so far. It starts with the loss of public interaction between Jimin and Jungkook since the last concert in Busan, then Jimin's post deleting old photos, to Jungkook's surprising decision not to attend Jimin's birthday this year for the first time since his debut. Who is the woman Jungkook is going to marry? Some rumors say she is the daughter of one of the major shareholders of a major entertainment company in Japan. This woman allegedly met Jungkook during a secret advertising campaign in Tokyo. Some even claim that Jimin's visit to Japan a week earlier was not for a personal project, but to catch up with Jungkook and talk one-on-one. If so, what happened in their meeting? Why did Jimin cry in the studio? And why did Jungkook choose total silence, not even giving the slightest clarification? When a fan asked HYB staff via Weverse about the possibility of a new Jimin-Jungkook duet project, the staff's answer was only a flatline emoji that actually muddied the atmosphere. Many consider this to be a subtle form of insinuation that something is never going to happen again. And then came one statement from an unnamed former manager in an anonymous podcast broadcast in Japan. There's a reason they haven't seen each other for the last 2 years. There are things that cannot be resolved with just a song and an apology. The sentence is piercing, because the public, all this time, saw only glitter, smile, perfect choreography. But no one knows that behind the scenes, there may have been a betrayal, or even more so, coercion, sacrifice, and wounds. There are internal documents that show that HYB once asked one of the BTS members not to publicize a romance that had been going on since before her debut, because if it gets spread, it will destroy the narrative that has been built for years. And as netizens tried to guess who was in question, many again linked it to Jungkook and Jimin. Because who else has been seen taking care of each other secretly all this time? But if it's true that they once had something more than just a friendship, then Jimin's crying video in the studio wasn't just about loss. It was about regret, about old wounds that never heal because they are never left open. Some of the soldiers who have been following BTS for the longest time admit to feeling betrayed. But not by Jimin, not by Jungkook, except by the system, by management, by all things that demand perfection but reject the human being an idol. If Jungkook is going to marry another woman, at least Jimin deserves to know first, wrote one of the most popular comments that thousands of fans liked. And the sentence shows in the nude how the public begins to reverse sympathy. Jungkook, who has always been revered for his maturity, has now begun to be criticized for his coldness. Jimin, who has been regarded as a figure who is easy to cry, now stands as a symbol of determination and silenced Is it possible that all this time they loved each other in silence? Is it possible that the cruel world of K-pop has separated two hearts for the sake of maintaining a perfect image? Maybe that's why Jimin's video in the studio feels so haunting. Because it's not just about tears. It was a portrait of a man who had given up. Not because he was tired of loving, but because he finally realized that in a world like this, even love can be a mistake. And when fans started spreading the theory that the crying was Jimin's response to Jungkook's yet to be announced engagement announcement, the mood of the fandom changed dramatically. From hysteria to grief. From admiration to questions. Is this all part of HYBE's strategy to introduce a new chapter in BTS members' lives? Or is this a clear proof that even the biggest stars have no power over their own hearts? Now all eyes are on one thing: the next appearance of Jungkook. Will he show up with his usual smile? Or will he bring an explanation that finally puts an end to this speculation? Meanwhile, Jimin still hadn't spoken. She only uploaded one blank photo on Instagram story, a black background, without words. But the fans knew his silence this time was louder than any C or Y.S of what really happened in the studio that night. And the most painful question: if that night was the last time Jimin waited for Jungkook, why should he wait in tears and not hugs? If you feel like you have something to hide, if you feel your heart hurt when you see Jimin sitting alone in grief, don't be silent. Your voice means something. Leave your comments, give your opinion, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to keep following this emotional journey until the truth is finally revealed. But what is unexpected is how this story began to grow in a darker, more personal, more terrible direction. That a few hours after the video of Jimin crying spread widely and became the subject of international discussion, an audio recording emerged that was claimed to be from inside the HYBE building. The tape contains the voices of two men arguing loudly. The first voice sounded emotional, almost desperate. The second voice was quiet, but cold. The conscientious army swears that the first voice is Jimin. Second voice, very similar to Jungkook. Asterisk, you know I never asked for more than this. But at least give me honesty. Don't hide behind contracts, behind your mother, or agencies. Asterisk, that's enough, Jimin. It's not just about you and me anymore. It's about imagery, about family, about people who put their money for our future. So I'm not part of that future. Asterisk, these last three sentences destroy the world of the listeners. If this tape is genuine, then all the theories that have so far been considered only delusions of the fan base become a more bitter reality than they could imagine. What's even crazier? Not a single party from HYBE dared to deny the authenticity of the tape. No rebuttal, no clarification. Their silence only added fuel to the already smoldering fire of scandal. Fans began to dig even deeper, relating Jungkook and Jimin's every move in recent years, every look that was not returned, every performance that felt cold despite being wrapped in perfect professionalism. And this is where the real boom began. Some international fans uploaded old pieces of documents from HYBE's exclusive contracts indicating that members are not allowed to have personal, romantic relationships with fellow members or staff without the written consent of management. This document has been discussed for a long time, but this time, the contextualization is terrible. Because if Jimin and Jungkook really had a more relationship in the past, then it could be that they've been forced to hide it or even break up forcibly. Then who decides? Who gives up first? The latest theory that has rocked Twitter is that their relationship broke up not because they hated each other, but because Jungkook's own mother was against it. A Korean fan who claims to be a former part-time worker at stylist HYBE's house wrote an electrifying thread. Jungkook's mother once told one of the senior staff that she would never accept a friendship too close between her son and another member who was not her ideal type. Asterisk, that phrase, too close, became a new code for the entire fandom. Because if true, it means that the pressure is not only coming from the company, but from Jungkook's own flesh and blood. Is that why Jungkook started keeping his distance? Was it because his mother knew? And is Jimin crying not because Jungkook left him, but because he knew Jungkook had no other choice? The fans began to conflict with each other. Some defended Jungkook, saying that he was just a victim of the system, sandwiched between love and duty. But many more sided with Jimin, calling him a sacrificed figure. The figure who loves in silence, gives in silence, then is left in silence too. And when photos emerged of Jungkook at a private dinner with his alleged fiancée exactly 2 days after Jimin's tearful incident in the studio, the fandom exploded. A blur photo, taken from a distance, shows Jungkook smiling. Next to her, a long-haired woman, dressed in a luxurious dress,